Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 17. Another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So, as ever, let's crack on. The first one is Google's Little Signals. It's a really lovely experiment about our relationship with technology and also information. So, as you can see here, there are lots of sort of interesting ways to be alerted. So, for instance, if somebody's knocking at the door, there might be a little tap somewhere in your house as well. Those sorts of things. So if a letter comes through the letterbox, then maybe there's a little thing that moves. So I thought this was really, really interesting because obviously the way we currently work with technology and devices is a little bit binary. It's a little bit clunky. If you excuse the pun, being binary. Of course it is, it's digital, but it's sort of on-off. Now this is beautiful. So if you need to take your tablets, these ones here, it will just remind you to take those ones there. I just love that sort of subtlety. So it's a new kind of expression of how technology should work with us, not us adapt to technology. So I really love that. If you are in the product design space, then more of this please, that's great. In the kind of course this was coming, alert of the week, Amazon have extended their essentially delivery platform to third parties. So this is buy with Prime. Now the way this works is if you are a random third party store or you have an app where you sell stuff, you can now send all your stuff, your inventory to an Amazon warehouse. They will store it for you, and then you just add this very simple button, buy with Prime, to your app or website, and they take care of all of the rest of the stuff. So they take care of not only the the restocking. They'll obviously, you send it to them, they'll restock it, they will do the delivery, they will do the returns, and also they'll deal with all the data. Now that's the interesting thing for me, which is Amazon obviously have all the information they could possibly want on people who purchase from them. There is an entire world out there that are ordering other stuff from other websites. Now, if you then have this button on your website, then you are giving Amazon access to all of that data as well. So they not only know what you're buying on Amazon, but they can then know what else you're buying in the rest of the world. And likewise, even if you're not an Amazon customer, they know what people are buying in the rest of the world, and therefore they know how to sell it probably more effectively on Amazon. So very, very smart in terms of a business move by Amazon, but also if you're a small business, then this takes care of all of the logistics. This is a great symbiotic relationship, shall we say. Somewhere in the middle, your data is probably getting a bit of a kicking, but there you go. Amazon buy with Prime. YouTube have done an update to their remix feature. Now their remix feature currently works like this. So if you see a video, you think, oh, I like the music, I like the soundtrack, you can click create, and it'll say, oh, would you like to use a bit of this this audio or this audio from this track? That's what remix does. However, to keep in sync with TikTok, or to keep competitive with TikTok and to an extent Instagram as well, they've now turned the remix feature also into a video remixing feature. So this is kind of cool, but also kind of worrying, I guess, as well. But the way this works is if you have created a video on YouTube, other people can now use de facto, so you can turn part of this off, but as it stands, your videos are now available for everybody else to remix. They can remix between 1 and 5 seconds of your videos, and your video gets a credit as it's being played in their mix, essentially. Now, as I say, the caveat to this really is that if you have created a short, i.e. short form video before, I think it's less than 60 seconds on YouTube, then you cannot turn this off. Your video is basically fair game for being remixed in other people's videos. If you have created a longer form piece of video, then there is a setting where you can say, I do not want this to be available as a remix element, but you have to do that very specifically. So so there you go. If you have created videos on YouTube, your videos might be being seen in other people's videos quite soon. Might even see this, who knows. If you're still not convinced how cool QR codes are, and I've really held out a bit of a torch for them for many, many years, I think they are actually quite cool, not without their issues. However, this is probably the best QR code you'll see this week, and that's not that's not a claim you'll hear very often. So this is a Rickroll QR code. So if you squint, this is Rick Astley bopping away in the background to "Never Gonna Give You Up," and which is the archetypal Rickroll video. If you don't know what any of these words mean, don't worry. Just point your camera from your mobile phone at this QR code, and every single one of these frames of the QR code will link to that same video on YouTube. Not only is that kind of cool, it's a great piece of art, it's a great piece of contemporary, culture. However, what I think it also says to me, and I'm a bit of a nerd on this, it shows you how much redundancy is built into QR codes. So you can actually just have animations, you can have all sorts of stuff going on, and it'll still link to a video. You can scrub out probably a good old section of it and it'll still work. QR codes are actually pretty cool. Anyway, there you go, the animated Rickroll QR code. This is a really neat video. So you might have been following things like, when iPhones can't be hacked into by law enforcement and they have to send them over to Israel and some crazy stuff happens to them. And certainly if you've got a crypto wallet and all of those things where somebody lost the password to them and you cannot get the passwords back out of them, as soon as you've lost your password, you have lost your password. Turns out not all the time. So this is actually Joe Grand, who is essentially a hacker, and has created a really interesting video. So there are two guys. This is obviously the very excited guy with the beard here. Him and his friend have a Trezor 1 hardware wallet with their cryptocurrency on it. They forgot the password, and with $2 million of crypto on there, they were quite keen to get it back. You cannot do it, clearly. However, if you use what's called hardware glitching or voltage glitching, that is possible. So the way this works is as the device starts up, you put a little glitch of voltage into it. That little glitch of voltage turns it into debugging mode, and then essentially the device starts sort of spewing out all of this debugging data. You don't know when to do the voltage, you don't know exactly how it's going to work. However, if you do it enough, you'll eventually find it. So that's exactly what they did. It took them something like 3.5 hours of just constantly rebooting the device and glitching it. However, just because the device had an old operating system on it and that wasn't the latest secure version of it, it had a slight vulnerability that allowed this to happen. That's exactly what Joe Grand is there for, to exploit this. I should say the latest Trezor does not have this in there anymore. So unfortunately, if you've got the latest version, chances of getting your password back are super slim. However, really, really interesting video. Do give it a watch because it's actually a really good video as well. It's full of drama. Obviously, I've given away the end story to it. However, it's still worth a watch. Anyway, if you're into the hardware game and ever wondered how you get into hardware, this is how you do it. Scraping is legal, so I'll explain that because that sounds a bit strange. Scraping means when you go to a website, if you just go to any website, LinkedIn for instance is a good example, and look at everybody's data, and you started going, well, can I just note that down? And can I do something else with that data? Can I put it in my own database? Can I search it? Can I maybe make my own connections in my own database? Turns out, yes, you can. So way back in 2017, a company called HiQ Labs scraped a bunch of LinkedIn data and started doing their own thing with it. LinkedIn clearly said, hang on a minute, this is our website, this is our data. And HiQ went, well, it's not really, because it's kind of the public's data. They put it on there, they're displaying it, they're happy for it to be displayed, and we're just looking at it with our computer eyes, essentially. So I don't know whether you can see it behind my probably video in the corner. However, if you went to LinkedIn, all of the data is available. So if you write some software that scrapes, as it's called, the data from a website, that is now legal. So it's gone through appeal, and basically LinkedIn lost the appeal this week. So yeah, if you want to get data from publicly accessible websites, apparently that's now legal. And finally, and this is really strange, so this is Neil Agarwal's latest experiment, I guess. He's done a few things. I generally follow them. They're always pretty weird and interesting. This is Earth reviews, and I really love this, because it's just a bit of fun anyway. So the premise behind this is, like, if Earth is actually a simulation, well, we should give feedback on the kind of cool things in the simulation, such as sleeping, or banks, or geese, or bees, or blinking, those sorts of things. I just really love the playful nature of that, just sort of turning reviews on its head a little bit. But actually, as I do, I overthink these things quite a lot. And I just thought what we're hearing of the metaverse is not really the right start. So we're hearing big companies buying big gaming platforms, trying to create the metaverse in their own image, essentially. And actually what it should be is it should be far more public spirited, a little bit like sort of, I don't know, Wikipedia, that sort of thing. So I really loved where this was coming from, which is like, if you had a review for just stuff, then the highest rated stuff should probably be the stuff that you put in the metaverse, for instance. Or it had sort of an evil rating. Like Geese, I think, didn't come out particularly well, or neither did Consciousness, to be fair. But there you go. However, there you go. So if you think that's cute, go have a look at Earth Reviews. Link is in the bottom corner. It's well worth a giggle. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully it was interesting. A little bit eclectic this week. If it was good, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week.